Hello crystals, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to learn about different spinal deformities, means deformities of the spine. So without wasting so much time, let's get started. Before we start to learn about deformities, we should know about some basics of the spine. Like we all know that there are 33 vertebrae are present in our vertebral column. In that 7 are cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral and the 4 coccygeal. The sacral and the coccygeal vertebrae are fused. So our vertebral column is not straight, but there are curvatures are formed. As you can see these curves. So there are specific names which are given to these curves, that are lordotic curve and the kyphotic curve. So what is lordosis and the kyphosis? So the lordosis simply means in the sagittal plane it posteriorly concave, and in the kyphosis it is posteriorly convex. As you can see in this picture, there is a in the kyphotic curve there is a posteriorly convex curvature, and in the lordosis there is a posteriorly concave curvature. Okay, mainly there are two types of curves, which are primary curve and the secondary curve. Primary means curve that is present since the birth, and the secondary means these curves are developed as the baby grows. The example of primary curve is the kyphotic curve, which is present in the thoracic and in the sacral region, and the secondary curves are lordotic curves, which are developed in the cervical and in the lumbar region as the baby learns to lift the head and learns to walk respectively. I hope you understand these basics. So let's learn further about our topic. So the first deformity is kyphosis. So when the abnormal increase in the normal posterior convexity occurs, this abnormal condition may be called as a kyphosis. So what can be the reason behind it? We can think about two reasons. So the first is this condition may develop as a result of compensation for an increase in the normal lumbar curve, or it develops as a result of poor postural habits or the osteoporosis. In the kyphosis, we can see the two different types of deformities, which is Dodger's hump deformity and the gibbous or humpback deformity. So in the Dodger's hump deformity, there is an excessively increase in the kyphotic curve, which is mainly seen in the postmenopausal women who have osteoporosis. So what actually happens in the Dodger's hump deformity and why it is formed? So in the Dodger's hump deformity, there is an anterior aspect of the vertebral bodies of a series of a vertebra which is collapsed as a result of osteoporotic weakening. So this vertebral body collapse causes an immediate lack of anterior support for a segmental of a thoracic vertebral column which bends forward, which causing an increase in the posterior convexity, which is the hump. Then there is an increase in the compression on the anterior aspect of the vertebral bodies because of the collapse. So the LOG passes at the greater distance from the thoracic spine and the gravitational moment arm increases. So this is result in a compression on the anterior aspect of the vertebral bodies, and the anterior annulus increases, and the posterior aspect is subjected to tensile forces in the fibers of the posterior annulus and the apophyseal joint capsule. I hope it made sense, and I hope you understand why the Dodger's hump deformity is formed. The second deformity is the gibbous deformity. So in this deformity, there is a sharp posterior angulation of the thoracic vertebral column occurs. It mainly occurs as a result of the tuberculosis of the spine, which causes the vertebral fracture. So that's why there is a prominency of that segment occurs. As you can see in this picture, there is a prominency of that segment occur because TB of the spine occurs in that segment. So what is the difference between Dodger's hump deformity and the Gibber's deformity? So in the Dodger's hump deformity, it mainly involves the whole thoracic spine, and in the Gibber's deformity there is a specific segment of the thoracic spine occurs, and it mainly seen in the upper thoracic spine, and it is easily recognizable due to its prominency as you previously seen in that picture. Okay, now let's talk about other spinal deformity, which is the scoliosis. So when we viewed from the posterior aspect, the vertebral column is vertically aligned and bisected by the allogy. The structures on the either side of the column are symmetrical. The allogy passes through the midline of the occiput through the spinous process of all vertebra and directly through the gluteal cleft. So when one or more of the medial and the lateral structures fails to provide adequate support, the column will bend to that side. As you can see in this picture, the medial and the lateral structures are failed to provide the adequate support to the column, so it is bent to this side. So this lateral bending will be accompanied by the rotation of the vertebra, because lateral flexion and the rotation are couple motions below the level of second cervical vertebra. So who don't know about coupled motion, I explain you briefly. So mainly vertebral column as a whole, four movements are present, as we all know, which is the flexion extension, lateral flexion and the rotation. So these motions appear to occur independently of each other, but at the level of the individual motion segment, these motions occur with each other. So this is called the coupling or the coupled motion. So most of the predominant motion that exhibit coupled are the lateral flexion and the rotation, because pure lateral flexion and the pure rotation do not occur in any region of the spine. So in order for either one motion to occur, at least some of the other must occur as well. I hope you understand. So this is about coupled motion. Okay, back to our topic. Mainly scoliosis is classified into two types, functional and the structural scoliosis. So in the functional scoliosis, it is called the non-structural because they can be reversed if the course of the curve is corrected. These curves mainly occur due to the correctable imbalance such as leg length discrepancy or the muscle spasm. And in the structural type of scoliosis, it is occurs due to the changes in the bone and the soft tissue structures. Now there is also idiopathic scoliosis, which is categorized by the age of onset, which is the infantile, juvenile and the adolescent type. So in the infantile scoliosis, it is occurs between the 0 to 3 years, juvenile occurs between the 4 to 10 years, and in the adolescent, the child which is older than 10 years, it is occur in that person. So who don't know about idiopathic? Idiopathic means the cause of the condition which is unknown. It is called the idiopathic. Now one question arises, how do we identify the scoliosis? So the answer is simple. Firstly, from the posterior appearance, we can see unequal distance from the body, unequal shoulder angles, unequal waist angles and the prominent hip. And the secondly, when we ask the patient to bend forward, we can see the rib hump. In this picture you can easily see the unequal waist angle, unequal arm length, unequal shoulder levels and the prominent hip. And as we ask the patient to bend forward, we can see the rib hump also. and in this x-ray you can easily see that the vertebral column is not straight but it is rotates. I hope you understand. Now the other thing is, how do we identify scoliosis? Means it is right sided or the left sided. So this is also simple. We named according to the direction of the convexity and the location of the curve where it's situated. For example, if the curve is convex to the left in the cervical area, the curve is named as left cervical scoliosis. If in the condition more than one region is involved, then we named superior segment first. For example, left cervical and the right thoracic type of scoliosis. I hope you understand now. Now tell me the name of this type of scoliosis. Pause the video and you can identify the type of scoliosis and let me know in the comment box. Okay, this is all about different spinal deformities. Let's quickly revise it. So mainly two types of curves, which are the primary and the secondary curve. Primary is present since birth, and the kyphotic curve, which is the kyphotic curve, and the secondary curve is develops as the child grows. The example of secondary curve is lordotic curves of the cervical and the lumbar segment. In the kyphotic curve, there is an excessively increase in the posterior convex curvature. There are two types of kyphotic curves we can see: Dodger's hump, which involves the whole spine, and the gibbous deformity, which occurs in the specific segment of the spine. The Dodger's hump deformity occurs in the postmenopausal woman with the osteoporosis, and gibbous deformity occurs due to the TB of the spine. In the lordosis, there is an abnormal increase in the lordotic curve. In the scoliosis, there is a lateral deviation of the series of the vertebra from the LOG in one or more regions of the spine occurs. There are functional scoliosis, which is reversible condition, and the structural scoliosis, which is irreversible condition. Scoliosis named according to its convexity and which region it involves. Now, this is all about different deformities of the spine. I hope you get worthful information from this video. So thank you for watching this video. So please like, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for the future updates. Thank you.